All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It is, what is it, September the 13th. Man, time is flying. That is crazy. We actually had our first rainy day of the fall season here in Seattle, and everybody's rejoicing because we love our rain up here. So hope you guys are having a good day. We have a great episode ahead of us with Mike Tich, the co-founder of Homeroom. He has him and his partners have a unique business model. They do the room by rental, so rent by the room. They have single family houses, rent out individual rooms. This is a great way to get more revenue for your home instead of renting out, one room or one house and you get $2,500. Now you rent in each individual room for $1,000. So it's good model, and I'm super excited to jump into this. Mike, thanks for hopping on the show.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. I told you right before we got on here, we like stories. So why don't you take us to the beginning of your story? How'd you get started in real estate?
Yeah, so I mean, I think like many people started kind of my regular job, wanted to buy a primary residence to live in. Yeah, ended up finding one there. Then kind of was like looking for other investment properties after that. Ended up kind of realizing, oh, if I buy this house, I have three major bedrooms. I can rent it and get a bit higher and more stable rent just by renting it out room by room, and kind of took it from there. Um, that was going pretty well. I've had like pretty much 100% occupancy in it. Um, Ended up then finding partnering with another company called Homeroom, joining as a co-founder to really help them grow. Realized we could kind of like offer it as a service to other people. So a lot of people want to get into room rentals, want to make higher cash on cash returns, want to get now at least just like try to break even. Um, and yeah, we kind of are able to do that for them, right? So we'll find them a property, they purchase it, and then we basically act as their property manager.
Sweet, man. I love it. And yeah, this is a really unique model, and I feel like it works really well in those markets where it doesn't necessarily make sense to buy a property as a rental. For instance, you're in San Jose, right? You're in Southern California.
I mean, I am personally in San Jose, which is yeah, North California.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of our markets are the places that are like kind of the mid-tier markets, right? So the
Okay.
Dallas, Austin, Tampa, Charlotte.
You
Uh,
consider Austin to be a mid-tier market?
I mean, compared to the Bay Area.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Austin's actually
it
a
makes
highest end market, right? So
right. It makes sense in those markets where the house value kind of, a mortgage that you'd have on the house value exceeds what you get in the rental income, because then you can rent out in each individual room. So I love the model, especially for people in the coastal cities or in those cities where, house values have skyrocketed in the past 10 years. So what is the difference? First question I have is, what is the difference between kind of the Airbnb short-term rental model versus this rent by the room model? Because a lot of people do the rent by the room in with Airbnb with short-term rentals, but it sounds
Mhm.
like you guys are using this as for long-term, as you would a standard
Yeah.
single family rental.
Yeah, I mean, not as many. There's a lot of more stability, I feel like, with the long-term rentals, right? So you don't have to do all the like expensive turns, all the extra work there. Also, yeah, the cost is not as high on the management side. It can get pretty expensive to manage. That obviously, if you're local and whatnot, it can kind of, yeah, Airbnb kind of makes a lot of sense. Like, I personally worked at Airbnb and have been a very long-term super host with them as well. So I also kind of personally dabble in that. Um, but yeah, I feel like it's a bit of a different tenant, right? And you just don't have to think about it quite as much.
Yep. Yeah, makes sense. And on that note, who are like when you're renting out by the room, it's going to change who you're renting to. So who are the general, demographic of the people that are looking for individual rooms to rent in a house?
Yeah, so I mean everyone from I would say our average age is about 28. It goes from 18 to about 45, I would say for the most part. You're mostly single people, kind of just looking for a way to save money, right? So
Cool. And you have, I mean, I'm sure you have single family rentals that are rented traditionally to a family or to a couple or whatever, for the whole house. So what is the difference in management between the two?
not as many. I mean, obviously it's a lot more work for us, right? So it's like instead of finding one tenant, you're finding usually six to seven, right? So Um, yeah, it becomes like, yeah, a lot more work. You gotta find more people, more turns, dealing with all the issues that come up there. Um, yeah, so it can personally be a lot, especially in some of our areas that are more like B and C tier markets. That's where it can get even more difficult. But yeah, like the Austins of the world, it's not too bad to
Yeah.
manage. But yeah, it's like we obviously do charge a bit more in property management because it is a lot more work. But the goal is you can make 50% more rent. That gives us a leeway to charge a bit more there too. So
50%, that's the KPI that you're kind of aiming for is you want to
yeah,
increase the
exactly.
gross revenue by 50%.
Exactly. Yeah, just because there is upfront costs to do construction and add extra bedrooms.
Mhm.
Uh, so you kind of need to be decently higher to make it make sense
Yeah.
to do that.
So let's talk about the house itself. In the house that I'm living in, it would not make sense to have, to rent out each individual room to different people, just
Yep.
because there's not a good bath bed combination, I feel like. So
Yeah.
what are the type of houses that you are looking for when you're trying to execute this model? And and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
if
So
it
we,
doesn't
we,
fit, yeah, let's start there.
we do it in three major groups for the most part. Our first group is more like a base model where we will take a house that actually kind of works as is.
Mhm.
There's generally will be usually six bedrooms.
Six
Um,
beds. Wow, that's the minimum that you try to have for it to make sense.
Five kind of works, but yeah, once you get if you get below five, you have to charge a lot more per room for it to make sense.
Ah,
Because like 50% more is kind of a lot, right? So, um, yeah, so yeah, you kind of like five will be usually 20% more or so. You do charge a bit more like per every room you add, you can charge slightly less per room, but you usually come out quite a bit ahead. Um, yeah, so I average is about 6.5, I would say. So we'll find the first group is like we'll find a five or six bedroom that kind of works as is. That generally a little more expensive. Our target there is kind of just to break even, but the out of pocket is quite a bit less. Our second is kind of I would say 80% of our houses where we'll take a three bedroom, ask to general contractor, throw up a bunch of walls, and then then you'll get a 6 or 7 bedroom out of it.
you
Um,
turn a 3 bedroom into a 6 or 7 bedroom.
yeah, that's the idea. Um,
Wow, that's crazy. How? I
um,
mean,
yeah,
so you're
I,
not expanding the footprint, right? You're just
You generally
changing.
have to find houses that have excess square footage that aren't
So in like a living
right,
room or
right, or
den or something like that.
garage
Okay.
or yeah, a lot of our owners like kind of will go crazy with it, right? So like yeah, like it's kind of up to them on how much they want to push it, right? But yeah, it's like it can get kind of crazy. Sometimes there's a really big master that can be split into two bedrooms, right? So sometimes there's um a really big living room that can be two bedrooms. So every house is kind of a little bit different, right? So um, generally speaking, we target about 200 to 300 square feet per bedroom, right? So we're looking for um, say at least 15 to 2,000 square foot, like for a six bedroom. When we go up to seven or eight, it'll be in the like the 2,500 square foot range. Um, yeah, and then a third
15
bedroom,
to 2,000 square feet total.
right?
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and then our third group is more of like a pure fix upper. So we'll buy houses off market with investors to basically complete rehab, right? So we'll like tear down walls, put in new floors, put in new paint, kind of do a much bigger fix upper plan,
Mhm.
and then rent it out. So we have a few of them as well. Um, Generally, down payment will be, I mean, the total out of pocket will be quite a bit higher, just because you can't finance it quite as easily. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that all makes sense. So this model, it sounds like this can be executed by pretty much anybody, especially with it, in my mind, for if somebody was just getting started, like if I was just getting started investing and I really wanted to get the most bang for my buck, I could execute this model and move into the house, get one of those loans. Man, I even got one of the first duplex that I bought. I think I put 3.5% down or something like that. It was obscene how low down payment you could do. So you do that, you move into one of the rooms, and then you just rent out each individual room to people.
Yeah, that's how so like yeah, Johnny I see here, that's basically how he started is like he was living in Kansas City at the time and just like did exactly that, bought a three bedroom, added the bedroom himself, and then um yeah, rented all the other ones with like 3% down. Um I mean I think that would be a little bit risky now, right? But like if you're
Oh
cash
yeah, it's
flowing, right?
7% interest.
Like, yeah. Um I mean, like at least if you can break even, I think you'd be okay. I with a 3.5% down, it just gets really tough, right? Because you have to pay PMI, you have to
Yeah,
pay
yeah, yeah,
7.5% interest rate, right? So like, yeah, you're gonna have to push it a little bit to break even. So,
yeah.
uh,
So let's talk about underwriting. I mean, it's one thing, having the idea and the model in your head. Being able to find a property that it actually works for is a completely different thing. How do you guys underwrite them when you're looking? I'm sure you're looking at one bed, rental rates in the market. Do you
yep,
take what 50% of that for your comps, or how do you underwrite? How do you get your rental rate for
yep,
the
yep.
property?
It's a few things. That's one of the top three signals, I would say. Which is, yeah, it's like one of the things. It's basically like I have a pretty complicated model. It basically scrapes what rooms are renting for in other people's houses already. That's like the number one signal. The second is like number of bedrooms and bathrooms is their master bathroom. Like if you have a private bathroom, that increases that room's rent by like 30% or so. So that's a pretty big signal.
Cool.
Uh, and yeah, and the third is like what are apartments renting for in that area? And generally 50% or so is a rough baseline. So we use all those signals. Oh yeah, and then the fourth, obviously, like what are we currently renting rooms for in that area? If we already have rooms rented, that's like pretty much a great signal. For going to new areas, you can't do that quite as well. So um, yeah, we use those four signals, have a statistical model built out on my end that basically predicts what we can rent it out for. Um, yeah, and then it spits it out of like, okay, this is where um, we go through the MLS every day, run it through the model. Um, if it's hitting our benchmarks, we'll then send it out to sort of all of our investors and yeah, see if anyone wants to purchase it. So
Cool. So what were the four signals again? I got two of them written down. So 50% of the apartment value for a one bed is what you do
yeah,
for the rental
right.
rate. And
We
then the
just look
private
at
bathroom, and then there were two
yep.
more.
Yeah, one is just our current data, right? So data we have of like what we're currently renting for in that
Ah,
area. Um, and then the fourth is basically what are like either competitors renting for in that area, or like people just posting stuff on Facebook Marketplace or Roomster or like one of the other remote rental services. So
gotcha. So
um,
how about finding tenants to rent these out? I'm sure it's not, you don't go through the traditional means, or maybe you do. Do you just put it up on Zillow? Do you put it on Airbnb? How do you find your
yeah,
renters?
I mean a little bit of everything. I would say like even our largest channel is probably only about 15%, which would be Facebook Marketplace, which is like yeah,
Facebook
personally for my
Marketplace, really?
the ones I self-manage, that's like 100% where I find people in the Bay.
Really? That's funny.
Um,
Facebook, it's crazy how popular Facebook Marketplace is. And I feel like it's more popular with the older generation, surprisingly. Like my dad loves Facebook Marketplace. He always sends me stuff.
yeah,
So it's
it's
it's funny that it
crazy. It's
works here
like
too.
I mean, like in the Bay Area, it's insane, right? Because like I mean here we have a bit of a housing crisis, but I put a room up on like Friday. I'll have like 40 messages within the next like 2 days,
Wow,
and like almost always have it rented by like Sunday.
that's
Um,
crazy.
this is where I meant like I also self-manage it because I don't trust anyone to like it's also down the street from my house, right? So it's like I need to stop by, I'll just do it. But yeah, I haven't had a day of occupancy in I guess 6 years now, right? So um yeah. Homeroom is not
Uh,
quite as good. Occupancy's in the like high 80s, right? So it's like it's good, but not quite as good, right? So it's like it's not the Airbnb average of 50%, right? But it's not like it's a little bit lower than single family homes. Um, but yeah, so number one's Facebook Marketplace, Zillow's I think number two. And then it's like pretty long tailed after that. Boomster's like I think three or four. Um, we have like 20 or 30 channels we advertise on. And it kind of like it's very, very long tailed and
mhm,
generating as much as possible there, right? So like we also run some paid ads, we do a bunch of other stuff as well. So
yeah,
yeah, we have like Facebook groups we run. We do referrals, right? Friends and family, those type of things as well. So
cool. Yeah, I mean, anything that works, you just spit it out there. I love it.
yeah.
It outside of so when you're originally talking about what the types of houses that you look for, a number of those options were making changes to the house. Are there any specific changes that you, outside of making your rooms, that you do to the houses, like maybe adding individual locks to the rooms,
Yeah.
anything to the common areas? What specific changes do you make to the houses to make them
Yeah,
good
we
for
um
somebody?
we obviously furnish all the common areas. For us, we think it's important to have at least some amount of common areas.
Hmm.
Um, some investors like really want to push it more and kind of don't, but we found it just like keeps the houses full a bit more if there's like they really look nice and have good places to live. So yeah, if it needs new flooring, we'll come in and put in this like relatively cheap flooring there. If it needs, yeah, like sometimes it needs an extra bathroom, but quite rarely we try to find homes that at least have two to three bathrooms. Less than that, it just gets a bit iffy. Um, yeah, and then we'll also, yeah, we'll do a 3D tours, we'll take videos, take Matterport to the whole house just because it helps us rent it out. So
Oh, the 3D. I've never done one of those things where you just get the 3D image of each individual room and you can kind of walk through it.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. Sweet man, I love it. I love the strategy. Sounds like something that works really well in pretty much any market. I'm sure it doesn't work in the Midwest markets just because rents are so low, but
I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, like Indy's actually like one of our best markets right now.
oh
Uh,
shit.
yeah, it's like,
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, like, cause like there were, I mean, obviously we're renting for like $400 a month a room, right? So um, like rents are going up, right? Like a single family, like a apartment rental still is like $800 or $900, right? And if you're making $25,000 a year, that's still like a ridiculous amount of money for you, right? So, um, yeah, we're still trying to figure out how do we address the affordable housing in even those like tier two to tier three markets. Because I mean, we were started in Kansas City, right? So it's like, yeah, we're trying to figure out how to make it work in those down funnel markets.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Indianapolis, we own some self storage out there. Love the market. I feel like it's just a
Yeah.
very strong market, a lot of, good base numbers. So if it works in a market like that where rents aren't $2,500 for a single family or for a single room, then sounds like it'll work in a lot of areas. All right, do you have any other tidbits, any other advice for somebody who hears this strategy? They're like, I want to get into this. What's advice for somebody just getting started out?
Yeah, I mean, like, always down to add them to my list server. They like want to help see more properties that we have come available. Yeah, just send me some info or send me a name, and I can at least just jump on for a quick chat and walk you through properties and figure stuff out there. Yeah, always down to also give you advice if you want to kind of do it yourself as well, because you do make a bit more, but it is a lot more work, right? So,
Yeah,
um,
right on, man. So that wraps up the first section. It's time to jump into the quick question round. Are you ready?
sounds great.
Let's do it. Starts with books or any form of education. I need two recommendations, one for general life wisdom and then one for real estate specific.
Real estate. I don't think I've ever read a single real estate book.
You can
Uh,
just say Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's what everybody else says.
oh yeah, yeah. I think my dad like gave me that book when I was in like high school years ago. So I think I read it.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, it's weird. I guess it's like yeah, it's like don't try not to read too many of those like random copy books, right? It's
Right.
general advice. I don't know. I have what was that one? I like the 0 to 1 book just because like I have it around here like starting a startup and just trying to come up with different like how do you be bold and do new ideas and I kind of like that one there. So
Cool. And that's by Andreessen, right?
I like the one what even is his name? I don't know. He's a big like Republican Party, so what I don't personally I think he's a bit crazy, but Peter Thiel, that's him.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The
his
yeah.
yeah his but like the startup stuff is
Elon
actually
Musk's nemesis.
exactly. Well, yeah, sort of co-founder. Yeah, it's he's
Right
kind of
on.
crazy personally. So that's yeah,
Hey, but he wrote a good book, so that's good.
yeah, right.
Move on to the next question, and this is for your younger self. So let's go back to the Mike who had zero experience in real estate. He was just looking at that first property. Go to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Oh yeah, yeah. If I would have bought back when like I had nothing in like 2008 in the Bay Area, I would have made such a fortune. So like yeah, but buy a house in the a place you don't even live yet would be a good one. Yeah,
Man, I'm gonna chop that down for I wish I got started sooner. We keep a tally on this podcast. I ask this
yeah.
question to everybody, and 90% of them say I wish I'd gotten started sooner. And so I always take the opportunity. Anybody out there listening, if you
I mean, I
haven't
wish
gotten
I did. I don't
started,
know how it would have been possible. 'Cause I think I started when I was like how long was that first house? I was like 23. So like I'm not sure how much sooner I could have started because I don't know what bank in there I might would have given me a loan. So but it's
but
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, the same idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
love it. And
actually, I think a good one is I wish I would have bought a house in like my college town.
mm,
Um, yeah, and I'm not sure how I would have managed it, but like, I had so many friends I could have like cheaply rented rooms to, and
yeah.
like, and the houses there are so cheap, right? Like,
Where'd you go
uh,
to college?
Cornell up in upstate New York, and
Oh, Ithaca, right?
yeah,
No,
yeah, so,
Syracuse.
it's like
Whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, one of those Greek cities, right?
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's yeah, it was like the cap rates there were like pretty crazy, so
All right. Jotting it down. I
yeah.
actually I saw a video yesterday and it showed California home prices relative to income since 1990,
Mm,
and once it hit, it was like 2008 in that crash period. After the
yeah.
2008 crash, it went from a 3-to-1, 4-to-1 ratio, just skyrocketed. It's crazy. The housing value in California is just obscene.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife for this last night because we were thinking of like buying a house in a better school district for our 4-year-old, but it's just like it makes absolutely no sense right now.
Yeah,
Like,
especially with
um,
the interest rates you're gonna get.
I mean, I was looking for a place to rent, right? Like in the good school district, it would have been like 7,500 a month, which is like you think, wow, that's ridiculous, right? And then I looked at like a comp to buy it, and the mortgage and everything would have been like 30 grand. So
Oh
like
my god,
like who in the
that's
world can
crazy.
afford this? I'm doing okay. My wife's an engineer, and like why also like why would you even want to, right? You could rent
Right.
for a quarter of the price. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Um and
Yeah.
like the price is not gonna like I guess if the price fell by like 75%, it would be comparable, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's laughable how expensive things are these days. All right, but this is gonna we're gonna move it on. Quick question round is never quick. It always lasts a while, but it's all good because it's my podcast. We do what we want.
Yeah.
Second question or third question. This is about your business. It's the first three hires that you do. What were they for you, and would you hire them differently? In different order, not the people, but the positions. If you could do it again today.
Yeah, I think it's like it's interesting, right? I think because I was kind of one of the first three hires, like, 'cause I kind of joined as like slightly later co-founder. Johnny started, I guess, about a year and a half kind of before I came on board. Um, so I guess the first one would be, I guess, bringing myself on board full time. Was like, I guess, the first important one, right? Because it's like I was working at Facebook at the time, was doing marketing for the company, was doing a bunch of other stuff, but kind of once I fully jumped into it full time, it started going a lot quicker. Um, so I guess hire yourself will be the first one. Um, After that, I think we brought in people to lead like the leasing side of the business.
Oh yeah,
Um, just because we kind of hate doing it. So yeah, we have like a full-time person. She's still with us. She's actually up in San Francisco as well. Um, yeah, she's pretty great. Trying to think of the third person. I think we brought in. We actually no, we brought in a third co-founder. She left about a year ago, but just to run the operations division, just because
mm,
like other part that we just hate dealing with, right? Dealing with like not really the tenants per se, but just like repairs, maintenance, construction, all
yeah.
that stuff, right? So it's like
Dealing with subcontractors, the worst.
yeah,
All right.
personally I love doing it on my own house because I can like get amazing deals. Um, but like I put in a new deck in my backyard maybe 4 years ago. Found this like Mexican guy that barely spoke English. He brought three of his buddies over, paid him like 6 grand, and he did like a week of demo plus like 2 weeks to build a deck and like legit company. That was like a 15 grand job. So it's like, yeah.
It's great when you can
And
find
then
good
like I
deals.
bought the turf and put the turf in myself, right? So it's like that was a fun project.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, once you find those good contractors, you got to hold on to them because they are few and far between. All right, next question is about the U.S. It's a big place, a lot of opportunity out there. Give me the single metro you're most excited about investing in today.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm buying right now, I'd probably buy in India. I think I already mentioned it. Like our occupancy rate's the highest, the prices are the lowest. Our rents are lower, right? But like, yeah, like you can actually still find um
Decent deals.
it's like they're like 5 to 6% cash on cash deals right now, which like with the way the interest rates is, that's like quite high. Like if you're buying cap, like if you're buying unlevered, it's quite a bit even higher than that, right? So Um, yeah, it's kind of what I
Cool.
would do.
Indie. Yeah,
So,
I love indie.
yeah.
Next question is about finding the deals. So it all starts with reaching out, getting in contact with that seller and getting it under contract.
Yeah.
What is your favorite way to find good deals? Oh, did we freeze there?
Sorry,
All
can you
right.
hear me now?
Yep, I
Can you hear
got
me
you.
now?
Can you hear me?
Sorry, I think you cut out there for a second.
Yeah,
Mind
technical
repeating?
issues. It's all good. Rolling with it. Question was, what's your favorite way to find good
Sorry, can you just
deals?
repeat the question? I didn't.
All right, everybody, we're going to take one pause because we're dealing with a little bit of technical problem. So we will be right back. All right, we're back. That was, we deal with tech problems. It's just something that you got to deal with these days in the modern world. But I think we solved it, and we were at question number. I don't even remember. We're gonna just go ahead and start at number 6.
Okay.
None of us are islands. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. So, who is one mentor who contributed significantly to your career today?
Oh yeah, it's yeah, I don't really have any like mentors, like official like what most people refer to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think closest I would say I guess is like my dad's run 4 to 5 businesses throughout his
Oh, cool.
life, right? So just being around him from a young age and seeing him just like randomly execute even still today, right, on stuff is yeah, it's definitely been a great learning experience just to get advice from. So
Yeah, yeah, having somebody that close to you who's out there doing it is such a big impact. Just being able to learn from osmosis is how we like to say. So great
exactly.
to hear
Yeah,
that.
he's
Shout out to Mike's dad. Thanks for helping him get to where he is. That brings us to the very last question. This is for the listeners. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you, learn a little bit more about what you guys do out there. So, what is the best way for them to reach out?
yeah, so just yeah, I mean on LinkedIn, just search yeah, Mike Tish on LinkedIn. It should pop up. You can also just go to livehomeroom.com/invest, and then set up a meeting with either myself or somebody on the sales side, and they can help you out. So
Sweet. I will put those links in the show notes. And if you want to look, search on LinkedIn, that is Tish. Is spelled Tich. So Mike Tish. Sweet. So that wraps it up, Mike. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
cool, sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe at the realestateinvestingclub.com. And if you guys want to support the show, all we ask, give us a like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.